Hey, what's up, St. Louis? There's your boy Musa, Jeremy, and Oscar from the Top Corner Talk here for another episode. I know you guys missed us, and we also missed you. So let's cut to the chase because I think it's yet another therapy session. St. Louis fell down to FC Dallas 3-0, and I'm sure there's a lot of things that we have to get off our chest. So, Oscar, let's talk about it. Uh-oh.
I think like we are. I agree with what the chat's saying. It's kind of hard to go back to what happened, but I don't know. I mean, there's a reason why I just put this shirt on today. Maybe to remind the players what they're playing for. Because this is what they should be playing for. Not their contracts, not whatever crap they have on their mind. I think it's more of this is the club, this is the city, these are the fans. You're playing for this, and they should be performing a lot better than what Saturday was. I'm not saying in general the season because ups and downs, injuries or not. Like I get it, we have discussed all this before, but that performance and that lack of wanting to win that game or that lack of reaction in the game. It's something that shouldn't happen, especially when you having such a trash season. You shouldn't be giving away a game like that, especially like Dallas was coming from 5 games without a win, and they were two of their most important players that were absent too. So there's no excuses for that 3-0 game.
Yeah, and before Jeremy, I ask you, then yes, we will not skip all the way to the transfer talk. This is a therapy session, so we will talk about the game first. Jeremy.
So you know what? I rewatched that game yesterday or last night. The interesting thing, I think, for me, I didn't see lack of effort. I didn't see a lack of trying, a lack of fighting. Because, I mean, we're still pushing forward. We're still trying to find the equalizer and still trying to get on the board. The thing that I saw was 2023 City. What I mean by that is get into the final third and you can't break down a low block. That is what I saw. I saw a team that had no off-ball movement. I saw a team that didn't have any ideas on how to create space, on how to break lines. I saw a team that was indecisive in transition, a team that didn't want to go fast enough to catch Dallas in their transition game. Critchley talked about a post-game that we let them get back into their back five too much and didn't catch them out when we could. That's what I saw is just 2023 St. Louis City. When I watched that game again yesterday.
I'll fight you on that one because I don't think it was not the urgency of the team. It was what Dallas wanted to happen. Dallas say, you grab the ball, you have no idea what to do with it. Just come at us, leave space behind, that we will score. And that's what literally happened. So, no, I don't think it was the attitude of the team trying to get back into the game. I didn't see any rebellion in the field. There was no that passion, that anger, that a player wanting to create something out of rage because you're losing a game. It was more of Dallas gave you the ball, and then we're gonna sit back. We're gonna let you play with the ball back side to side, and we know you're not gonna do anything. And I'm gonna compare you obviously with the best player of the world. But Messi was losing 1-0 and they pissed him off. They won 5-2.
True. So I probably will say maybe not the 2023 per se, because if that was the case, we probably will have a lot more people running in the midfield. Pretty much the way I felt when I saw the progression of the ball was that the defense was moving, but it was more lateral passes. The offense was moving, but then in in the middle, there was nothing, right? Um, he mentioned Messi, right? So you will see Messi come all the way to like maybe the center back, say pass me the ball, and then he will progress the ball forward. For us, there was zero connection in the midfield. It almost took Leuven to come in for even him have an opportunity, a shot on goal that looked more dangerous than what the first half of the game entirely until he came in. So I think the biggest thing that we're missing for me is that midfield is like has completely disappeared. And when you were mentioning the 2023 season, right? The biggest difference that we have now versus what we had then is that 2023 had a whole bunch of misfit that said, I am going to show the entire league that we're about it, right? Strauss was a you know what, right? He
Mhm.
had that range. He was not the greatest soccer player, but guess what? You knew he was going to give you a full 90 like that. Marcanic was the one too, right? So almost and AZ was as well, right? All some of those players that have now left, now they're kind of showing you what they were capable of. It's just that maybe their best time during that season was not the greatest. So I almost fell asleep a little bit when it comes to the transition and lateral passes for your center back, right back, and left back.
Well,
That's like my biggest pet peeve
the
on the planet.
the only one who tried to do something and with the lack of quality and his clumsiness was Silva when he came in. He did his first 5 to 10 minutes great with having some pace, trying to get on the breakaway, but also it fell off short when we got, I believe, was the second or the third goal. Then he just got in the same attitude as the rest of the team. Like there was no movement, there was lack of wanting to make something happen, and it's just like that mentality of if we get hit, we just go down, and we had it through the entire season. We get hit once, and it's just like the end of the world. And obviously, we got hit twice or three times, like that. That just gonna tell you our players are not gonna do anything. So it's I don't know if it's obviously it's mentally, but what can we do with these players that, like someone saying on the chat, chip on the shoulder, like
Mhm.
none of these players seem like caring about it. And if we're gonna quote a little bit of what Lutz said the next day, that he was surprisingly mad, but at the same time, like not taking autocritic and responsibility on his part, just blaming it on the players. But yes, like all these players have something to play in, and that's why can I open my first saying by you don't play for your contract. Yes, you as a player you should be concerned about your contract, but you should be representing your club before worrying about your next contract. If you represent your team correctly, your contract's gonna come,
Mhm.
right? And
Mhm.
and it seems like none of them have that mentality. None of them have that pride of this team. Um, and I'm not gonna blame it on the players.
Mhm.
I think I'm gonna make this time, and I'm changing my mentality a little bit because is I've seen that the problem it comes from the managerial part more, and not the coach, like the upper managerial. Seems like none of these players want to be here, and like Lutz specifically says that they don't care to be here or they don't want to be here. Maybe it's true, but it's not because they don't want to. It's because they don't want to work with this managerial process. Maybe they don't feel that this club is going somewhere or this project is going somewhere. Then they don't want to work here, and that's not the problem of the coach. And in turn, this is the problem of Lutz, Diego, Caroline. You have to make sure that these players are proud of being in St. Louis and being part of this team. And it comes back to all those little things that fans say, like, hey, these players don't connect with the fans. They don't feel pride on this crest. So they don't care if they go say hi to the fans or not, or two of them go and then the rest go on the locker room. It's just those little things. He's just giving me hints of these players are here only for contracts and making sure they get their money, but not really to be successful in the field, put in the effort in the field, and then making themselves proud to be on a club, and then obviously make the fans be proud.
Jeremy?
So I think so. I think my where I want to point blame or put blame on this is I it's partly on our. So I don't think I don't think you exonerate the coaches. Lutz did say on KMOX, the coaches shouldn't get the blame. I want to put protection on Critchley and the staff because they are preparing these guys the way they need to. My
Because
issue.
he fired two already.
Well, right. So how many coaches, but how many other coaches have you said that, oh, we've trained these right? We've had good weeks in training. You said it with Hackworth. You said it with Carnell. They even said it with Olaf, and now they're saying it again with Critch, is that we're doing things right in training. The players come out after the game and say, yeah, we didn't do what we were told, what they were, Edu said after the game, Dallas played exactly like we knew they were going to. Well, then why don't we get the result? My frustration is not, I agree. There's not that intense energy and that intense, you don't see guys getting up, and I don't want to say you have to be chippy and start fights, but you don't see them trying to get in the other players' heads a lot these days, right? Just get enough to throw them off of their game is all I'm saying. You don't see that. That's the energy that I would like to see more of, but I still just take issue with the lack of movement. That's my biggest problem. We get into the final third, whether it was in 2023 against teams, that was the thing. Even under Carnell, when we had the most possession in a game, we always struggled. It was that way under Carnell. It was that way under Hack, and it's been this way now. We had 62% or 62% field tilt, 60-something% possession. We had 300 and something passes in the offensive half in the game, more than double what Dallas did. But we don't know what to do with it, and it's down
They're
to
all sideways.
Right. Yeah, and I actually threw a thing in the present window. I don't know if it's actually going to let me, but this is from Ben Griffiths, who works for the 615 group guys down in soccer. But this is from his app, his Streamlit site. This is our passing flows. The darker the arrows, the higher the volume of passes. And what do you not see a lot of? Verticality. You don't see anything going forward into the box hardly, do you? No, if you're going from right to left, that's our direction of attack. Everything is really the middle of the field, right and left, back and forth. The midfield is where our attack died because we didn't know what to do in that final third. We didn't know how to get creative. We didn't know how to make runs to clear up space and move defenders out of the way. So what are we doing? We're passing it back and we're recycling it through the midfield, trying to get out wide to whip in across. And that was about as effective as wet toilet paper.
And I mean, it's okay. It's okay to get those sideways passes to get the defense moving side to side and trying to open space, but you have to do it fast. That transition of that ball from one side to the other has to be fast, and it's not there. Even with Lewin was taking 2-3 touches to get rid of the ball, to make sure that we kept it, we played secure, and also because Lewin is not 90 to 100% fit to the speed of play, right? So that's one part. We didn't see the other thing like we saw against Portland when we scored the first goal, that rebellious play from Ostrak, not giving up that ball, going hard, tackle after tackle, then speed on the ball. We did not see any of that. The only thing we saw was Silva in the counters, like I said before, and then tripping over his own feet, and then tried to recover the ball, then giving a bad pass. It's just on and off. People are saying well, is it lack of talent? It could be lack of talent, but I do believe these players can do something.
Yeah, it's not like we did a complete, clean house from last season. So
we basically kept the same season, the same team that finished last season, that they were doing something. Um, Now they're all talking about that the motivation with Critchley is good and they feel great in practices and all that. So I just don't believe that now we go and dig on the players and the players and the players. It's like, yes, they need more. They need to show more. But I don't think it's the saying that these players don't know how to play soccer.
oh, no,
It's
no.
more of like something inside the locker room and maybe inside the club, and that's where I'm going to. It's failing hard in the connection, and I'm gonna keep going on this. Is I feel the lack of commitment to the club, to have pride and passion for the club you playing, is taking a toll on this roster, and I feel that it goes from all the players now realize that if a piece doesn't work or if a piece seems like it's not the likeness of your sporting director or your president or whatever it is, they're getting rid of them, right? Because the ones that they have had like a little rebellious thoughts, let's say Adeniran, let's say AZ, let's say Indy, let's say Stroud, Geo, uh, they all have been okay. Bye. You don't want to be here, right? And they're getting rid of them. So it feels like the players are like, if we don't do what they say, we're just a piece here. We're not a valuable human. We're not anything like that. We're just a piece. If you don't work, we're gonna send you away. We're gonna find another player that is gonna do the same thing. Um, and I think that's creating a disconnection of being proud of your team, of where you are.
I'm interested on that part because a lot of those players that I had now have are gone. I guess probably outside of Indy. All of those players were criticized by City fans season 1 and season 2, and a lot of them were happy to see them gone, right? Yeah, and so that
I would say like, yeah, I've criticized a lot of players, but at this point I kind of like going back and say like, I think we mistreated them.
but I was telling, and we can even record it in the history, right? There was time where I was telling people is like you the way they're talking about like bad attitude and stuff. I'm like, heck, you need players to have a little bit of that it thing because that's how they all became professional soccer players to begin with. They all have to have a point to make to the previous coach, previous team, or who sent them to the fresh team, the brand new team that is, hey, you're dispensable. So go to the new team and see what you can do. But now, as you can see, is that we have the player with the skill level to be able to do the job they're supposed to. But guess what? You don't have the cleanup crew to do behind it, right? Certain players that you hate to play against, but you love to have in your team. At this moment, who can you tell me from that list right now that if you put that name on someone else is like, oh snap, here's that guy is going to play against us today. Do you think anyone from St. Louis at this moment where they're like this guy? And you probably there might be one player with his name start with a K that probably terrorize some players at this moment. The mentality, I'm seeing more like the body, their how they're moving on the field. I'm wondering if it's mental or it's the tactic that they have to play into, or they're not really sure what to do.
So go ahead, Mo.
Because maybe it's soccer today, but you gotta you need to have one or two of those players where you will get a few instructions from your coach, but majority of the time will say what you see on the field. If you see it right, make it happen. And if it does not work, we'll figure it out later. But it looks like at this moment, it's like everybody is a piece of what they have to do, and they will stay within that section and nothing else. Because no one is taking risks as much as I guess I'm used to. Well, I like to see.
So I want to ask a question. A couple things you said jumped out at me. And actually, I think speaks to something Edu said post game. So post game, Leuven mentioned the fact that this is not the first coach they've had this season, right? We all know they replaced Melberg, sacked him, and brought in Critch. But Edu mentioned, Critchley plays the 4-2-3-1. And I don't mean to get into the weeds with this, but I think a lot of folks, and sometimes myself included, say, okay, we're back at a 4-3-2-1. These guys have played that formation before. It should be fine, right? They know what to do. Well, hold on. Let me ask it this way then. What Carnell did in a 4-2-3-1 was different than what Hack has played in a 4-2-3-1, and it seems like Edu is saying it's different even from what Critch wants to do using a 4-2-3-1. How much of this is on a combination of these players still trying to figure out exactly what Critchley wants and trying to learn this system as he runs it, number one, and number two, of the guys that are in this starting 11, how many are playing it not in their best position or playing as like the first game back in months or the first or even on minutes restrictions? I mean, like you can't build, I'm sorry, you can train all you want, but in my opinion, you don't get those relationships just in training. You have to build them in real game situations, and you just don't have that everywhere on the pitch. Maybe and you're playing guys out of position like Betcher and Toykert. They're not wingers. We have I don't know what we're doing consistently. I know Salio's hurt now, but we have Silva. At this point, you ain't got nothing to lose. You need to win like 8 of the last 10 to have a sniff at the playoffs. Let's be real, it ain't happening. Give Silva a start. Stop running these guys out of position. But those are my questions for you guys: is how much of it is down to the guys that we're playing still coming back to fitness, but more so, how much of the struggles are down to the differences in the way these coaches are applying these similar formations?
The way I see it, it's more of the personnel on the field versus the talent or them getting back to fitness. Because, like you say high pressure, right?
Mm-hmm.
I don't think Tucker is a high pressure guy. Well, he's going to run 110 miles per hour for 90 minutes. I don't think Wallem can. Well, no, I think Wallem can. Klaus wouldn't. Like, who are those players that can be the high pressure for and run for that long at a higher speed? Because we have the talent. This team now is more talented than the 2023 team or the 2024 team.
Yeah.
On paper, they are more talented. But what is the biggest difference? Those guys that from 23 had an engine on them. We had a lot more yellow cards. There was arguments. There were chippiness. There was like the St. Louis blue collar thing we're talking about, right? I think at this moment, people getting fouls us, pushes us, kicks us, and guess what? It's just that player that got kicked and the offender. I don't see anybody run sprint and it's like, hey, that's my teammate and back the heck off, right? I don't see that partnership just yet.
This goes to the same thing that you're not proud of your team. You're not proud of being on your club. Like you're not defending your colors. You're not defending your teammates on that end. Stroud in the year one, every game he was getting an altercation.
Yeah,
and some people are like, oh, it's so unnecessary. Oh, it's It's annoying. This does this and that, but he was doing something. Like the lack of everything from the club, the team, and the field. I really, I'm gonna beat the dead horse, but I think it just um has to be a disconnection between players and the managerial part.
I just and I don't disagree that there's a disconnection. I don't know. I struggle to know if it's like you were talking about, if it's Lutz and above, because the thing that's it's really strange. It's a strange turn of character for Lutz, who, just 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago, we were talking about how Lutz is always doing right by the players. He didn't execute the option to buy Giannis Horn, even though to us he seemed like a perfect fit for our system, right? He instead listens to the player and says, we're going to let you go back to Europe, and he's now in Austria, right? And so he's doing right by the players. But now this weekend, after a bad performance by most accounts, he is on the radio the very next morning throwing the players under the bus while protecting the coach. I mean, it's so I don't know is the disconnect there, because I mean, Lutz has gone out Lutz is very consistent when he lays out expectations. We want to win. We want to be entertaining. He's holding the players to that high standard. How much does that hurt what we are trying to build here, whether it's guys on the current roster or as maybe a future potential transfer target? Do you want to come somewhere where your sporting director is going to be as vocal as Lutz was?
I don't like that he came out and say those things. If you're gonna say those things, go say in closed doors. Go yell at them. If you're disappointed, go yell at them. You don't need to go on a radio show and say, "Oh, my players were disappointed." No. If you're saying what you are saying, Jeremy, that he backs up his work and what the idea of the club is, you don't trash your players the way that you just trash them out. Because the only thing that you did right now, like if everybody noticed on social media, is that now everybody's trashing the players because the sporting director came out and said, like, our players are terrible. Well, then everybody else said, like, oh, our players are terrible. Their lack of quality, their lack of this, their lack of... No. It's the same thing when he came out and said that our coach was not doing the things that they were supposed to do. What happened to social media? Everybody got on the coach.
Well, Oscar, we're gonna say that people were already on the players that bad.
I mean, in some yes, yeah. but now like it's a general equation where now our full squad is terrible. But
I'm wondering if he's playing that taking a lot of the heat on him in order to take that away from the players.
I think he just put it on the players instead of taking it on him, because who builds the squad?
No, but if you think about it, like as we're speaking now, did you see what just happened? How the conversation moved to Lutz the bad guy, and now the player maybe are the one that are actually affected the most.
But or maybe it's that's what I'm trying to do.
Right? You see how you see it where the conversation kind of switched now to maybe it's a Lutz thing where now the players are. Maybe I'm trying to see maybe the psychology part of that as well. But
that's exactly what I'm trying to do. Yeah. And but if you look at social media out, nobody's going and say, oh, Lutz is doing a terrible job right now at this moment.
Did you hear that
in this moment, after these comments, everybody's saying our players.
So go ahead.
No, go ahead, Jeremy.
So I just go ahead, Mo. Go ahead.
No.
So I just want to throw out something real quickly, because we're talking about Lutz, but we can't overlook. Before Lutz took the airwaves on Sunday, Critchley wasn't much better. He wasn't much more forgiving at the post-game press conference. I want to share just a couple of snippets of quotes here. So part of what Critchley said post-game, quote, typically you'll find one or two players that maybe has a good game, even in defeat. But today I felt like we couldn't get across the line with anyone's performance being very strong. And he followed that up by saying, quote, that was the difference. The mentality was in their favor. The performance was in their favor. And the result was obviously in their favor. So Critchley came out first. I don't think that's getting a lot of attention. Critchley literally
I
said,
don't see any bad words there.
so you mean, so hold on. If Critchley, what's the difference in Critchley saying we didn't have a single person whose performance was good today? Basically, what did he say? He said, typically you'll find one or two players that has a good game, but today we didn't have anyone's performance being strong. What's the difference in Critchley saying it that way? Then I guess it's a little bit more friendly. It's not using the word embarrassing. Is that the difference? Because to me, they're both calling out the players.
Maybe he got lost in translation.
Fair.
No,
I think like that comment, especially coming out of a presser that is right after the game, at least he's not creating excuses of we deserved the game, we were the better team. Like he's saying, hey, we were not the better team. Things didn't go well. Our players didn't perform the way they were supposed to. But then on the next day, your sporting director goes and says that everybody should be embarrassed of their performance, and that every single player that is on looking for contracts, they should be playing accordingly. That's a threat, basically.
A threat
that coming
what?
from a sporting director is not a lie. Don't get me wrong, it's not a lie. Yes, these players should be paying more attention that if they don't perform, they might not get an extension. They don't get an option. They don't get the new contract. I get that. But if you go and tell them on their faces, don't put it out public saying these players should be playing better because they're out of contract in 6 months. That's embarrassing from that end. I don't like it. And if I was a player, I would not like it either. That my sporting director is the one that's supposed to sign my next contract is trashing me like that.
It might feel weird coming from me, from what I'm going to say next, but I think, it is kind of a fair statement, even though maybe sometimes you don't hear it as much. But I thought about it as well. It's like, you probably should be playing the best football of your life, even if your team sucks. I've seen other teams that are very horrendous in club football, but the players that are under that contract or negotiation or in talks, there's like a glimpse of something that says, I want that extension. Or even if you don't want that extension, you want to see the other club see you perform as you should, or at least have the stats, right? Because if you're playing bad because you're not happy, all it does is messes up with your money anyways. So I think it's one of those parts where the performance is not going well. Trust me, people have not been nice to any players or any. Maybe Klaus and Berkey have had their flowers, but everybody else have had their not so kind things, that people saying that they're not that good or anything like that. My biggest question is that where do we go from there? Because are the players that are making the big money and will be here anyways next year are not even showing that as well. Klaus is, scoring goals, coming back to what could have been in 2023. But other than that, I'm like, who's the next man up for those positions? And a lot of these players are secure in their positions, because if they look behind them, there's no one else that is even close to be able to take their spots. So that's why I kind of like these new additions, right? Because it kind of shows you where if you look behind you and you say, this guy is maybe 25% close to what I'm capable of doing, So maybe I need to show that in practice in others to gain my spot on the starting 11. And it's the exact same thing that when I hear, why is Herbert, why is Josh, why is these guys are starting? Maybe the question should be, what are the other guys behind them are not doing to be on the field? What is Silva not doing to be on the field? What Wenzel is not doing to be on the field, right? There's If you're too secure, you probably won't maybe work as hard, which is hard for me to say when it comes to a professional soccer player, because I don't care how bad your team is, if you're still a professional soccer player, you still know how to play. And you're getting embarrassed by teams that say, here's the ball, try to beat us, and then you lose 3-0. It is embarrassing. You got 63% of the possession.
Mm-hmm.
63?
Yeah, so if we're
And we
gonna
have the most
evaluate,
talented team.
so I know like I derail all this conversation of the game recap, but like
It's still part of the game.
if you go and evaluate the game, in my opinion, I go back to our style is terrible. Our style of play and our idea to play is bad. It comes from half of 2023 all the way to here. What happened in the first 10 to 15 minutes of the game? We had good possession. We were on the front foot. We almost scored. Hartel hits the crossbar.
Mhm.
We had a lot of pressure out there. But then after those 15 minutes, what happened? Our team gets tired. The the intensity of the play goes down. Like it's everything just goes slow pace, slow movements, recover energy, all that. Then we go
No engine.
to right, like, and then like second half was the same thing. We started the front foot, trying to get into the game again. 10 minutes, then down again, and then we couldn't get out of that slope.
So, but is it so? Hold on. But do you think the problem is the energy, or do you think the problem is the mentality? By which I mean, we play hard for 10 minutes, 15 minutes. We don't get the end product, and then we feel sorry for ourselves and just kind of take our foot off the gas. How much of that is the problem? Because to me, that's where I point at. I don't think it's a lack of them having the fitness to do it. I think it's a mentality problem where they don't get the payoff for the result of their play, and then they just feel defeated and stop. That's where I think the problem is.
Is this style of play because you can go out and play hard for 15 minutes in the first half, right?
Mm-hmm.
But you have to have a plan after that energy goes down. Because you're gonna go down in energy. What's your plan? And our plan is try to keep playing the same way with less energy. There's not an adjustment. There's no ideas of when we have the ball, what to do with it to regulate energy and surprise the team. That's the style. That's the idea of playing. And I'm not saying it's the coach, because we have had coaches trying to do the same thing over and over again, and none of them had really been successful in it. I'm going to, and it goes back to the same person. We have a person that it keeps enforcing a style of play and a style of idea that doesn't match or doesn't complement the abilities of our players and our coaches.
That's fair.
So
So would you think you scratch it all? Because that's what I was seeing in some places. Just pretty much scratch
We
it
need
and
something
starting
different.
fresh.
We need. I think these players can play a better soccer if you give them a little bit more freedom on what to do in the field. If you force them to play one way, that's the way we are playing, and that's why I feel these players are not happy in this club, because you have limited options of how to perform in the field, that you get the same results. Like, it's just your hand is like half in and half out.
Yeah,
Like was
it's just disappearing. Green screen. Go ahead, so sorry.
No, go. You good.
magic.
No, so I thought. Hang on a minute. I thought we hired coaches who have Plan B, C, D, E. I'm confused. I thought that was what we were looking
Yes.
for.
Okay, so yeah, we say that on paper, right?
Right.
But who's the one really calling the shots here? Who's bringing the players? Who's saying what style of play we're playing? What ideas we use? How a coach should build in a team? How the players should be moved? We know that. We know who is the person bringing all those in and limiting your recruiting to that style. You're not bringing anybody to have a freedom of play. You're not bringing a Thiago Almada that can just roam around the field and figure it out. You're not bringing a Lucha Costa that just finds his place in the field. You're not bringing an Evander. You're not bringing... No, you're bringing players, including what we're going to mention, the ones that we have signed. We're going to mention in the transfer. I'm not upset with the players coming, but see, that is the same type of player to the same spots that we lack on something, because we keep thinking one way. We look like bulls. This is the only way we need to go, and that's how we're gonna go.
It's the Red Bull style. Well, come on.
So I have a question for you guys.
Uh-oh.
You mentioned who we think is bringing in the players. Do we really think, and this isn't a defensive Lutz, this is just a general question, do we think Lutz really gets to be the one that has the only input, or do we think maybe there's any kind of internal conversations, power struggle, maybe Diego gets involved and won't rub? Like, do we think there's anything to that? Like the potential of Lutz wants this player and Diego says, no, that doesn't work, and now Lutz has to go find somebody else, or vice versa. Do we think there's any of that going on?
Now,
Sure.
yes. But prior, no, because he was not there. But now he has a boss.
Okay.
But at the same time, I think the person bringing the players is bringing the same type of players, just a different name. It's hard to believe for me, and if I'm wrong, but it's hard for me to believe that an Argentinian person as our president with a city-style group, Man City-style group background would still think that the best choice of players are to play the Red Bull style, Gergen press, or whatever you pronounce that, high press, high energy, high intensity, when he comes from a background of Pep Guardiola, basically. Keep the ball, move the ball around fast, find spaces, high intense mobilities, talent, skillful players. He worked there. I doubt that coming over here out of a sudden it says, yeah, I want all German and Nordic players.
No
If I'm
comments.
wrong, okay. Like, Diego can come and tell me, like, hey, yes, I'm bringing all these players that they're that type. But for me, an Argentinian, a South American person, not bringing anybody from South America, that doesn't make sense for me.
I can see that.
Yeah, I mean, I think we're finally making some strides when it comes to diversifying our roster. Is it, I think, to your point, I do think we are trying to buy players to fit the style that we think we want to play. I think we're also trying to continually fill the same gaps because we either misidentify talent or we don't evaluate the talent that we have properly and let it and move those players on. That's the questions I have, because it feels a lot to me like we're trying to consistently fill the same holes. So where we like, so left back, for example, right? We brought in Horn. He was great, but he didn't want to stay. He wanted to go back to Europe. So we've got Jay Reed. Now we have Yaziel Orozco. He stepped in. I don't know what that means for the Devin Paddleford rumor, because that was supposedly going to be a separate loan deal. I don't know that makes sense on a first team contract. So, and that has really gone quiet. So we'll see there, right? But right wing, Rasmus Alm. Well, he's on SCI now. He's done. So what do we have to do? Well, now we brought Betcher. We're going to play Betcher there, right? Oh, we're going to bring in Silva in the last window. He has been a ghost, and we haven't seen him until this. Really, his longest run out in a week was this weekend, and now we're bringing in Sangbin, who I'm excited for. But again, it's filling those same gaps, and where are we also still looking for that we need, in my opinion, a 6. We've talked about it for months. Like, we don't fill the gaps, so we can't build the rest of the roster out, because we're continuing to fill the same holes over and over and over again. That's my problem with this team. What's up, Oscar?
So who is bringing all those repeatedly players?
Well, that's why I asked, because it's Lutz.
And
Lutz, right?
And and why do we keep doing the same thing? Because we want one style of play. And if this player doesn't fit, we get rid of it, we get the next one. And it doesn't fit, we get rid of it, get the next one. How many left backs we have had in 3 years?
Too many to name.
Too many, right? How many right wings we have had in 3 years?
Again, we've tried a few.
We try a few, and then we start falling short, because now we don't have any that they're natural right wingers. Same here for the left wing, and we actually overbooked the left wing, because if you keep everybody healthy, technically Wallen was supposed to be a left wing. Celio is a left wing. In my opinion, Chelo Hartel is the best position for him as a left wing. So you have 3 very strong players that they don't have space to play together because they're in the same spot. And go back to you. Where's our 6?
I think for me, that's the biggest piece missing.
Yeah, and Lewin says that he likes to play there, but the first 10 games of 2023, he was playing higher.
Yep,
he was an 8 and almost a 10. What happened in those games? We were more successful.
Well, he was the leading progressive passer in our team, and one of the most progressive leading passers in all of MLS. When he plays in that advanced role, he can say he likes to play that 6, but I think we'd agree an 8 is probably best where he's at, in my opinion. Maybe a 10, but for me, I like him in that box-to-box role.
Yeah, but
I don't want him to play back.
No.
Okay.
Why do we need Lewin to play defense?
None.
Why?
Because we defend as a team.
That's that's for soccer right now, because your most talented players, we're forcing the most talented players to play offense and defense when they don't need to. It's like asking, go back, as Messi, as Maradona, as El Pío Valderrama, as James Rodriguez, as all those to play defense. There's no sense for that. Let him play out.
We don't even have to leave Frisco, Texas to see the difference. Like, how many times was Klaus the guy clearing the ball out of our defensive half compared to like Petar Musa, who, by the way, had 2 goals and an assist? Like you know what I'm saying? Like, that to me is the difference. We have a mentality of we attack as a team, we defend as a team, we are the designated team. These other teams are like, no, we have our attackers, we have our defenders, and they play as units, but together as a team, they're cohesive. We don't have that cohesiveness anywhere in any phase of our team because everybody's doing everything. That's another problem I think we have.
I think probably one thing that keeps coming up, especially in the midfield, is where is like the CDM that we started with that we all wanted to have as like a cover for Leuven to so he can be more of his creative guy, and then everybody else does the cleanup for CDM. Because from what we can see now, right, in the modern football, right, and of course I'm going to use Chelsea because that's the team I watch the most, right? Caicedo is that guy, right? He will have one or two run up, try to score a goal. But what else does he does? He will tackle you. He will make sure that when you're close to him, he'll breathe on you. And then Enzo will be just try to be creative, right? So I think that's the part where then Klaus feels the need or is told to go all the way to our box to clear a corner kick, and then we expect him to be able to do the same thing on the other side of the world. So I think so that's where I keep on saying like the engine, a CDM that can cover so that Klaus, Petre, and all of these guys don't have to try to defend. You saw from the Dallas game too, right? Where Petre lost the ball a few times. Then he tried to track back to play defense as a team. But guess what? Now he's all gassed out. We get the ball back. Who do we pass the ball to? Everybody's in our half. So the counter is pretty much all gone altogether. That's why we had all the ball, but we barely had shots on goals.
And it's hard to believe because I think everything goes back to the point. Like in my opinion, if I was building a team, I'll build my team with a 6 and a 6 like you're mentioning, Mo, like Caicedo, Kante, Macherano, Casemiro, those that they're the destroyers of the play, and then that they start the play with your next up, with your creative player. That's the one that takes the ball away from the rival and gives it to your most creative player.
Yeah, so to answer Aaron's question, so how much different does the team look with Cass, Timo, and Durkin, and have Leuven up in the middle?
I mean, Leuven's gonna play the same spot he's playing right now, so I don't think it's that much different because he wants to play there.
Yeah. So sorry, I was gonna put in our chat to hold this for a little bit, but we'll talk about it now.
Hey, you know what? It's gone.
Yeah. No, that's fine. So coming in a minute, I want to talk about the comparison between Sangbin and Alm because I do think that's where the role he's going to fit. So, but to the question in the chat that you guys were talking through real quick, I would say it depends. It depends on if Durkin is really going to be that stay-at-home 6. He's never proven to be that. That's what I think we hoped he would be. We thought he'd have more positional awareness and responsibility. If he could be that role, then you have, but I guess my question or my concern is still out wide. If we're running a 4-2-3-1, and the more this goes on, the more I don't think this roster can support that formation. I think that's another problem or something that we can talk through. I think it comes down to, for me, how these guys are going to play in those positions. I like, again, Baumgartel and Kessler, 2 ball moving center backs. I like the idea, but what I get worried by, if we're still in the same system, neither of them guys are the most fleet of foot. They're not the fastest. So if they're hung out in transition, we're going to have the same problems that we are seeing now, which is why I do think we're seeing more Yarrow, not only to maybe see if we can find someone to buy him during the window, but we need some kind of a center back with a little bit of step, a little bit of pace. And that's where I think Yarrow does have a spot for now on this back line. But I don't know. Well, I guess, Ryan asks about formations. I got to think on that. But what do you guys think? Do you think is the 4-2-3-1 the right formation for this roster?
I'm trying to see who's on the flanks on that one.
I mean, it's right now. So who do you have? You have Celio, Silva, Betcher, Toykert, Sangbin, Joyner, if you would actually sign him to a first team contract. Those are your 6 names that I can come that of guys that we've seen play winger this season. Alm was supposed to be there, but he's not. Another wild name for you, Conrad freaking Vollum. I'm sorry, I don't want him in the middle of the field. Put him out wide and let him run.
Or play him as an attacking center mid too.
You could do that. You could put Hartle on the left and play him at the 10.
The thing is, again, like we brought players to do in a specific role because that's what they told us at the beginning of the season. Like Wallem, the highlights were all on the left flank, up there, not having to come back, just up there, taking 1-on-1s, getting on the box, and creating chances. The first 2 preseason games of Wallem, he got 2 assists and a goal, I believe, doing that. Where is that Wallem? What happened to that Wallem? Now it's a 6. Like we just keep reusing players in different positions, and it doesn't
Do you
get
think
to
it's
us.
a lack of not trusting the back line and maybe a little bit of the midfield having that much up top and not coming back?
If that's the case, hang on. If we're going to ask that question, Mo, we don't trust the back line. Why the hell are we playing Ostrak and Vollem together? Would we not be better, more beneficial to pull a guy like Seth Antwi or another 6 from City 2 up and set them in front? Hell, for all I care, if you're going to play Baumgartel and Yarrow, have Hebert come off the bench, put JGR there and let him sit in front of the defense. Like, that's the part that I'm saying, because we don't have balance in the midfield. I don't know. That's just my thought.
I had Seth in tweet 100. If there's 2 players that I'm still not too pleased not to see him play, one is Perez and one is Seth, because just watching City 2 play, they do not try to move up unless they absolutely have to. They're pretty much the cleanup crew, where had a little that grit that we're talking about and the engine that we're talking about. That would be Seth and Tweet, who has the grit and actually know the first team, a lot of it, and has the what Oscar was referring to, the badge pride, the city pride. Guess who has that? That would be Perez. So that's why I'm wondering why these 2 guys that pretty much can play that CDM and had the opportunity to practice with the team, what it's blocking them from there. I think that's for me is where it's questionable. And yes, they're still CD2 and still trying to find their ways. But at the same time, if you don't try them, you do not know what's going to happen. So if I see into it, I'll be very happy on that part. And GGR, regarding GGR and Yao's place, one thing that we can always say about Josh Yao, though, is the speed and also a little bit, even though there's that mental lap that happens sometime, right? But I think he's probably a little bit more safe than GGR when it comes, because we see some of those passes, right? So, but I think it's one of those things where you have your 5th string center back that's having to cover for 4 other players that probably should be starting before him, right? And then after that, we're playing a style where your center back has to have the most possession of the ball. That's typically a recipe for disaster, wouldn't it? No, maybe.
Mo, are you able to share my screen or accept my screen?
Right now I just see so maybe if Jeremy, you stop sharing.
Let me move mine out. All right, removing.
Yeah, and then Oscar, if you have that screen with that plus sign, if you share it.
I did. I have one like waiting on.
Oh, there you go. Now you're in stage. There you go.
Okay. So I went back, right?
Uh-oh.
So
Oh, you went back.
look at that, right?
Mm.
And it's not because my main thing is my number 10. Look where my number 10 is. Also look the two behind him,
Engine.
right?
What match
Just
is that, Oscar?
this is Portland City in Portland, the first season that we won 2-1 with
2023.
Heaver
Okay,
header.
thank you.
Look at the wings. They're natural wings, right? Was one that would support a lot in the defense, but at the same time he was very explosive on the outside and stay wide. Stroud the same thing. It was a runner, not very talented, but runner, and help up and down, creating spaces. You have your most creative player in the center of the field with any defense duties. And you got the two engines in the middle that they can work and work and work and work.
Yeah, there was like 4 engine behind moving on that part.
So now if you replace this time, it's good, and we can move on into our new transfers if you guys want to go into that. We're gonna have a natural right winger, if I'm not mistaken, that should be playing there, right? And then we have natural left wingers. We have 3 of them. I mentioned it before. Celio, if he gets back in from the shoulder injury, we have Hartel, we have Wallem, and even let's put one more in there. Let's put Toicher in there, right?
So, yeah. So Oscar, there was the reason that I asked you about that is Mo. If you want to flip real quick to the graphic I just uploaded. So this is from
Absolutely
that.
not.
This is from that same game. This is our average position, and you call out the bat like it looks fairly balanced. You've got your three defenders. You've got Tots up a little bit, but what do I notice is that CDM, that 6 sitting straight in front of your back line. That to me, that's the balance I want to see in our teams today. If I compare and contrast that to the heat map or the average positioning from this past weekend, and real quickly, I will put that up for you, Mo. Give me just a second to pull that up. This was that I just uploaded now, Mo, is what we had this past game. So you've still got 3, but I mean, this is the first half. So this is what we were in the first half when it was just 1-0, right? So I'm okay with this. This looks pretty balanced. You've got passing lanes kind of all over the place. The thicker the line, the more balance you seem to have. That's in the first half. If you, though, kind of extrapolate that out and we look at the entirety of the game, the thing that you will see, give me just a second to upload that, is it becomes extremely unbalanced and we have guys all over each other. So this, I believe that I'm just uploading now, is, if I recall correctly, this is the second half. But if you look in the second half, look at the central, the way we were in that second half. There's no width. Everybody's almost on top of each other there. And that's where I think our struggles are, is positionally. We don't have that balance. Like, yeah, there is a CDM a little bit deeper, but the only width we see is through our wingers. You have Klaus, maybe Hartle. You got, Betcher and Toichert or Silva. They're just all over each other. And if you are that bunched up, you're going to become predictable. and it's going to be strictly on reliant on that off-ball movement to break that low block. And guess what we don't do? We don't move off the ball. So
Can you put the first one again?
So where do you see a CDM there? I don't see no CDM.
Well, the LDM. I'm sorry. So LDM right in the middle. But again, that's in the offensive half of the field.
Yeah.
That's the closest thing sitting in front of your defense that you got.
So that means, so there's no defensive.
So
No.
Jeremy, put the first one again.
Yeah. It's uploaded. There it is.
No, not that one. The first. Portland.
The one from your game?
Yeah.
All right, hold on. Let me clear these out because I think I can only have 2 at a time. So hold on.
Yeah, that's so weird.
So obviously, yes, that's a very disorganized team.
So the one that you had, Oscar, give me 2 seconds, and I will happily put that back for you. Where are my downloads?
So does that mean that they're trying to do too much?
Because the width.
There. So I just uploaded it, Mo.
Oh.
So this is the one from the Portland game. This is what you wanted?
Yes. So if you look at the back line, that's what you want your back line to look. I know you were focusing on your midfield, but that's what you want your back line to look when you're passing, is that width. Even when you have your left mid or right mid a little narrower than them, it's because they're creating that channel so your left back and right back can go, right? But what you were saying that there was balance in the first half of the Dallas game, I think it was already disorganized because if you look where the right back was, it looked like a forward.
Well, yeah. So if you, Mo, that's actually still uploaded if you want to flip to that. But I think the reason for that is since Critchley took over, what we've seen a lot of is us throwing bodies forward. So Tots is usually as high as our forwards. We're trying to almost attack with like a front 4 or 5 when we have the ball, shifting to more of like a 3-2-5 in transition and a 5-2-3 when we're in rest defense. And so I get what you're saying. I think this makes sense to what I think Critchley was trying to do in the first half. It just didn't work.
Okay. So let me ask you this. So when a team sits back and it has a 5 in the back,
and
you put 5 up front, because that's what we have here.
Yeah.
Right? You have 5. How much space it's in there?
Oh, well, I mean, right now there's a ton of space. The two channels.
No, how much? No. How much space in the box there is?
I mean, there's not gonna be because you're gonna have
10 players.
Yeah.
You have 5 defenders and 5 forwards.
No, there's not gonna be.
So when you attack like that, you have no space there. You're not creating space while making people move in, and that's what I was referring to the other one. Because you have to start your attack of your movement from your back line width-wise, but also deep-wise, so you have the movements from the back and not just standing forward and staying still. That's what happened to the game in Dallas. Yeah. We had 5 players or 7 players that they were just standing still, waiting for receiving the ball, instead of attacking space, instead of creating space. One of the big things that I gave kudos to Tyson Pierce was that when he played that game the other day, he was creating so many spaces by moving, not being there, moving to the space. None of our players did that, but because I think there's a lack of coaching decisions where you are keeping your players high up, thinking the more players I have higher, the more chances I'm going to go. But no, that doesn't happen.
Yep. So this is the average positional chart for the entire 95 minutes of the game in Dallas. So I kind of showed you what each half looked like. This is the full match. And you look at the channels of space between your center backs and your wing backs, and then look your 3 midfielders, your left defensive, well, it's your left defensive mid, your right defensive mid, and your left wing on average are all standing on top of each other.
I wish I could mark the screen because I would move the guys. Your right wing's supposed to be where your right back is.
Yep.
Your left wing's supposed to be like kind of like where your left back is, and
Yeah,
then
it's a mess.
it's just your center forward. Great that the center forward is staying in center forward, but like look how bad the left wing is. Like, and who was the left wing technically?
It was supposed to be Betcher, who was non-existent and got subbed off at the half. I think I heard his name twice in the first 45 minutes.
Yeah, he was getting bullied from on that side.
Yeah.
Okay, so yeah, it's but I think it's because of the system. I don't want to say like it's coaching. I mean, players have to be disciplined in things that they're being worked on in practice. I just think the idea in general is go forward, see what happens. Yeah. I'm gonna get my refill of water and let's talk transfers.
Yeah, I do see that Matt Doyle he was on a lot of St. Louis fans' good grace, but I guess now he's coming big time.
Yep. So I am going to re-upload Mo that comparison of Alm and Sang Bin. We can. I don't know if we want to wait for Oscar, but I'm happy to dive in since Sang Bin is the real topic of conversation since he's the newly announced signing this evening.
Well, and Matt Doyle just said it was a disaster signing.
Well, so I think he's saying that the signing by Minnesota was a disaster signing because the tweet that he's quoting in that post was somebody mentioning that Minnesota paid 2.5 million euros for Jong Sang Bin. So that was the original. So the original transfer fee for Sang Bin when he came to Minnesota from which Premier League side was it? He came from was it Wanderers? I think Bolton Wanderers or something like that.
Oh yeah, they're not even in the EPL.
Well, they're not in the Prem anymore.
Yeah, but
anyway, he was in the Prem at the time, and they paid 2.5 million euros, which is just for Sang Bin or Wolverhampton. Thank you, Wolverhampton, the Wolves. Thank you, Aaron, for correcting me. I knew Wolves was in there somewhere, but anyway, Wolves, Wanderers, whatever. Point is, they paid 2.5 million. He fell out of favor with that coaching staff when they changed their formations. He wasn't a fit for them at right wing back, and so he's really spent much of this year on the bench, not featuring at all. And they are going to, of course, they're going to blast City for paying. So you think about it. We gave them Marcanic for $50,000, and we just spent $1.6 million on Jong Sang Bin, who doesn't come with a glorified track record, but I do think he makes sense. So what you see here, this is all based on really one of Alm's most productive seasons with us, and then last year for Sang Bin because he has hardly played this year. But I think you see, just looking at this, they are a very interesting profile of each other. So Alm has higher assist numbers, but if you look, Jong Sang Bin has a slightly higher non-penalty goals number. He's got more expected goals per shot. He's got more non-penalty expected goals. So he's more of a creator, more of a finisher than Alm. Their shooting percentage was similar. The only real differences that I see here is Sang Bin was known more for being a successful dribbler, taking on folks and carrying into the penalty areas, whereas Alm had a little bit higher of a defensive work rate. That's what that bottom section of the chart there is,
right,
is your defensive pieces. So to me, they fit a very similar profile. The big thing for me, because I did have someone ask me this on, I think it was Twitter, did we overpay for Sang Bin? My feeling on it is no, and here's why. He's still got potential. He can develop. Where it is an expensive signing, but it's a position of need, and I'm okay with us spending for a player that seemingly fits our positions of need. It doesn't use GAM. It was a straight cash for trade, so it does not take away from any general allocation money funding that we have. And the fourth and final reason that I'm okay with going in for saying Ben is, for me, my brain just went blank.
He's a
Um,
U22 initiative.
Yeah,
Isn't it?
that's it. He's a U22. Thank you.
Yeah.
That's he only counts for $200,000 against the salary cap. So yes, the transfer fee's a lot. He has an option for next season, but being able to keep him in terms of a salary cap budget, this allows you for this year, and I even think for most of next year, because he'll still be under the age of 25 next season. He would be a U22 for the duration of his contract if we pick up his option, which is smart salary cap management and you making the most of those MLS salary mechanisms that we can put in place. So for me, I like the signing. Matt Doyle might criticize the price tag, but I don't mind that at all.
Yeah, but it's also one thing that people kind of forget is like when it's transfer talk, the other team knows that you need that type of player. You need the profile. So guess what? You're going to have to pay a little bit more because the team knows that you need it. Yeah. And also, they know that he's a U22 too. So I'm sure all of that stacked up. And I think it's kind of dumb to mention Mark Hennick, right? Because let's not forget too, they also used him as, CD2, and they also used him at Minnesota too, right? So it's not like he was a first starter and he could demand that type of money to begin with.
Okay. And my real quick take on Marcanic.
Yes.
If he wasn't scoring goals, would anybody give a damn about Marcanic right now? No. The deal is he gets forward in dangerous set piece spots, especially throw-ins and corner kicks that go into the box, and he gets in those spots and finishes. That's the only reason Marcanic's a conversation.
I mean, he scored a goal like that when he was at City.
He did. So go ahead.
So I think the only thing that was missing for Marcanic, right, since he liked to move up a little bit, if our defense was a little bit more sound, Marcanic, technically, he's the type of right back or left back that anyone in soccer wants. Example, you can look in European teams. The right back and the left backs are the one now that are actually crossing the ball. They know how to dribble, and they're scoring a lot of goals. Rick James, right? But what happens with those left and right back that like to move up, Alexander, they have solid defense. We didn't have that. So he had to do that job and move up and come down.
I'll tell you what. You have two center backs and a 6 that stays put and covers him.
There you go.
So, yeah, I mean, I know, Jeremy, you're saying that people would not care if Marcanic was not scoring goals, but I think like his general work in Minnesota has been proven that even without scoring, it was a mistake that City just let him in. Go away.
He outworked
not
City
just for the goals, because you have a left back. A left back, you don't expect them to score goals. Now they do, and sometimes often, unless, well, in the past you had Roberto Carlos, you had Cafu, and so on, so on.
Outliers.
But the regular left back and right back, you expect them to just be able to get your team wide and give an exit and progress the ball correctly. And I think Marcanic used to do that without a problem in City. The only thing that he has had trouble with, what Mo mentioned, there was no balance behind his back. But it was not his fault. It was not Nelson's fault. It was not Heber's fault. It was not whoever was in place. It was the system not having someone backing him up. That left back position.
He was on the treatment table. The guy that was supposed to do that.
That
starts with B and ends with Lom.
Blom.
Oh no, I was talking about the end. No, the center back that spent all that time.
Oh,
Oh.
real quick,
Okay.
but
Okay.
go ahead.
Yes,
The
we start
N
with the end.
and ends with
And with the
Ilson.
end. Yes.
Um, so Mo, to your point though about and the thing about folks overpaying, and I'll talk about Falu Fall here in or Foul in just a second.
Wait. I
But
wanna have
I
my
want to talk about
chime in
Singbin.
on thing.
Oh, go ahead. Yeah, you go ahead. But real quick, I just want to remind everybody we got $1 million from Philadelphia for Indiana Vasilev. Do you really think Indy's worth $1 million? No. I mean, I don't. I loved Indy. Indy was one of my favorite players. I almost bought an Indy USA kit after he got called to camp. I got talked out of it. But do I think Indy's worth $1 million in GAM? Hell no, I don't. So so transfer prices, especially for these cash for trades, are inflated in my opinion. But I'm not mad at the price for Sangbin. Anyway, I'll get off my soapbox. What's up, Oscar?
That last piece, yes, I think it's worth that. I think it is worth that.
Okay.
He's a back. How do I put it? He is a background worker. He's not a flashy worker. He's not a player that gets your attention for how good he is. He does his job. He runs hard. He gets on people's faces. He accomplishes what he needs to be doing, but quiet. And I think that price tag for him is good. And I think City probably could have gotten a little bit more. The same way that Minnesota is getting a lot more for Bing is because of the circumstances. Philly really didn't need him to go for India and say like, oh, we're gonna pay whatever you ask. It was more City. I want to get rid of a player. Shocking.
Well, he didn't want to be here.
Well, he didn't want to stay here because City didn't like him.
No, he didn't like the style of play that
City wanted him. Again, goes back to the club asking a player to play in a position that might not feel comfortable for the player. Right?
Yeah.
So, hand in hand, he seemed like he didn't want to stay, but because of those reasons. Again, City didn't have a push on the price tag because they wanted to get rid of him. Because if it was not going to work the way City wanted him, then we got to get rid of him. So price tag for him could have gone higher if it was a necessity for Philly, but it wasn't. Bing, I think it's a good price still. I don't think it's overpaid, but it also goes to the point that Mo said. City needs him. When you need something that is in low demand, what do you do with your product? You raise the price. Same thing works with players. If you're looking for a player that is not big on demand, you gotta raise the price tag. Also, when you have a team that is second to last in your division, third last in the league, you're gonna have to pay more to get players, especially when they're coming from the same league. Because players and teams are not gonna give them cheap because they're gonna say like, "Well, you're the last. You need your players. You're gonna have to pay for it." And also, players are gonna say like, "Oh, do I really want to go to the third last in the league? Not really. Not with this managerial type. But if you pay me well, okay, I'll go."
Well, unfortunately, in the MLS, they don't have a choice.
Well, true.
Yeah,
But let's say that it's still that.
Yes.
Technically, the team also kind of like will be nice if the teams talk to the players and like, hey, this is in the process. At least
It
I
should
hope
be.
so. They do that, but I don't get into that yet. As a player, I'm not overly excited, but I do like it. I like him. That is a natural right winger. I like him that he seems to bring energy and speed. And for the way that we play, or we want to play that fits, right?
Yeah.
But hey, we might see him as a number 6 next game soon.
Oh,
Just
don't.
I knew Oscar was coming with that one.
so I mean, whatever. If he plays a right winger, I think it could really put pressure on what Mo always says, like have your DPs and your superstars some fire behind their backs. I think he could get a starting position if he actually is led to play on the right wing, because I think it's more natural than Teutsch, is more natural than Betcher, any of the ones that you want to mention there. So I think it's a good sign for what we can afford and what we can do right now.
There's only
And
2 players that are guaranteed. Anyways, it's Berkey and Klaus. Everybody else,
I think you have a
well,
third there.
who's that?
well, and so I think. Go ahead. Who's the third?
Artel.
Oh yeah, I don't. I put him in a different. He's like in a different atmosphere. You know how we were saying without Berkey, this team would have been X. Right now, without Hartel, the team would have been a lot worse. We'll probably be dead last.
Or it could
Because
be better.
anything could always be better from where we stand.
No, like
Yeah.
he has done well. He has done well, but I think we were expecting a lot more, and maybe some games because we wanted Hartel to play no matter what. We didn't use other players that could benefit the team better.
It's coming. It's coming.
No, I what's coming? No, I agree. I'm looking at Sang Bin in terms of what he's done at his career. According to Transfermarkt, believe it or not, so Sang Bin's most used position according to Transfermarkt is center forward. He's had 40 appearances at center forward, 18 as a right winger, and 8 at left wing. He has played 6 games as a 10. Most of his goal contributions, of course, come as a center forward. 11 of his career goal contributions from Transfermarkt come as a center forward, but he has three assists as a right winger in 18 games. It seems that we've got versatility. Again, playing into the idea that a lot of people are out of contract, including Klaus. Toykert is under contract through middle of next year. This could be a signing for the future for City at like I said, an affordable option off of in terms of salary cap functionality and build. And then of course Fall's coming in, the other big one. This I like this graphic. Obviously there are definitely obvious areas for improvement, right? Like clearances are a little bit low. Long ball accuracy is a little bit low. Pass accuracy a little bit low. But the thing, what sticks out at me, 96th percentile in interceptions in the Norwegian league, almost 80th percentile in tackles won, and 80th percentile in long balls. So if we're going to be playing what it seems like we're developing, that style of a very direct playing long from the back, this profiles as a player that I'm okay with on my back line. He's only going to hopefully get better, and if he does get better, we can sell him on. So that's why I wanted to pull this graphic on Fayu up. As far as I've understood, he hasn't traveled yet, still waiting on his visa. So I don't think we're probably going to see him Saturday against Minnesota. That would be the first game that he and Sang Bin are both eligible. So I don't know when we're going to see Fayu in the lineup, but I think it's certainly an interesting signing for the future for City.
He's in Senegal, so he ain't gonna be playing the 24th.
Yeah.
Oh, you know.
Because I know.
Uh-oh.
See
Mo's
what I
got
did
sources.
Because I know.
Okay, so sorry, I backtracking a little bit.
You're fine.
Sam Bing, I hope is only used as a right wing. That's all I ask. And the other thing that I was gonna say, the last one on him is that I want hopefully people to understand that Sam Bing's not gonna score you 25 goals and give you 15 assists. He's not gonna be that type of player. He's a player that works spaces and creates options for this next pass to be an assist. He's not the one who gives assists. He's the one who gives the pass to the person that's gonna give the assist. That's the player. Because sometimes like people are like, oh well, his stats are low, like he doesn't score and give assists that many. But he creates spaces so when he attracts people
Mhm.
in his runs and he creates that space, open spots for the second person that is the most creative that we supposed to have our assister give that ball to our scorer. So hopefully people start that mentality on he's that type of player, not going in through 3 games and everybody's gonna say like, well, he hasn't scored any, he hasn't have an assist, he hasn't look at him different. Kind of like the same way you look at Celio, because Celio is not a top scorer. He's also not a person who assists. He's one who creates. Well, he kind of assists a little bit more, but he creates spaces. He gets one on ones and then passes the ball back to the next pass.
Yeah, so pretty much that's the thing, right? That we keep talking about is that he will attract the attention of other, the rest of the defense, which will then all create more opportunities for the others. That's why we always love to see dribblers, right? Because when Celio is thinking about dribbling, then you have to double team him. So when you double team him, what does that mean? That you just took away another defender. And then that's when the opportunities show up. So I'm hoping like you that if for his position that goal is not always the end result from him, but also maybe the one or two passes that comes after him. So and he's young. You know what? Before we go on foul, the thing I like is that in the last few transfer that we're just talking about, we're talking about young players that still have a ceiling that they can reach. Yes, he cost a million or whatever, but guess what? If he only costs us 200K now for a 22-year-old or 23-year-old in the rest of the world, that will become a 10x plus. So people want to look to spend money. He's spending money.
Well, over $5 million on two players. Oh, the other big thing on saying Ben, he just got his green card. So guess what? He doesn't take an international slot either. So that's just
Mm.
another thing for saying Ben too. That won't get mentioned enough. So what is I guess here's the question, guys. So looking at our roster, what does this mean for our total roster? Well, our senior roster is now full. We've taken up all 20 of our senior roster spots with the acquisition now announced of Sang Ben and, of course, Fall's signing as well. We do still have one supplemental spot open. I know there were rumors from Tom Bogert that we were going to bring in Devin Paddleford, who is a young player, really seen more of kind of that guy in between Minnesota and Minnesota United too. Hasn't really played a lot for Minnesota at the first team level. Is a center back and left back, so he can play both. But my feeling is now that we've signed Orozco to that first team deal, it doesn't really make sense to bring in Paddleford in my mind. You don't really, I don't think you'd want to fill 3 supplemental roster spots with left backs, especially when you've also got like Kyle Hebert, who I believe can also play left back if forced to. So I'm
So
holding out.
you will see Paddleford signed and announced tomorrow then, because it
You
doesn't
think
make
so?
sense.
I mean,
Wow.
I personally was hoping for one of two things. I either was hoping that we could somehow find a supplemental roster guy that could play the sixth, or I think this would be a popular idea for a lot of people is just give the first year contract to Joyner.
What else do you have to lose?
Yeah, I mean,
But
at this point,
Joyner Joiner, there's rumors that an European team wants him for next year. So,
Watford. I think Watford was the rumor
so
that I
what's
saw.
the point of that? And
It's a rumor.
I don't. Yeah, I mean, at this point, I always look at Joiner. He has a huge potential, but I think because he has such a huge potential, he would not last long in City.
Fair.
So,
Yeah.
um, one of my questions would be Blum. He was signed for another club. Is that already counting Blum going away and then bringing the ones that we brought?
So Jabulo Blom had no impact on the roster because he was technically already an off-roster player because he never reported back after the end of his loan to Kaiser Chiefs. So
Okay,
he never was taking up a spot.
got it. And then obviously, being in the injury season and injury that's been taken as well. So we gotta sell someone to bring someone because I don't
Yep.
think this is enough.
Sell well. So hang on. Let me ask you this then.
That's not good.
What is enough? Are you talking? So are you talking enough to try to do anything this season? Or are you just
Where's
saying
our
enough to make
six?
us better next year? Oh,
Where's
for a
our
6. Yeah.
so
Um.
it's just that question. Um, we are on the hour and 35 minutes.
We're getting there.
We're getting there. Um,
Any final
I
thoughts?
know Mo, you do want to extend more about Falu Fall.
Oh,
Fall.
that,
Did I say it
what would
right?
you
No,
like?
I said it wrong.
What would you like guys to know? You know, he played another position growing up,
Really? Where did he
a
play?
more offensive position.
He was a forward.
Yes, he
What?
was.
Oh, so he was Timo Baumgartel somewhere else? Is that what he? Is that what I'm hearing?
No, there's the youth days. He was too. I
I
think
mean,
what
Gotcha.
how old he was? Because I mean, let's be real. I
he's
think
talking about.
everybody in that they were kids, they play forward
No,
in
we're
some point,
we're
and then
talking academy, so it was the
okay,
15 to 17.
because
And you know
hey, I
how
played forward when I was
you
a
know how
kid.
it is. But yeah, I think for me the thing that's interesting that probably not many people look into, right, is that he also played for the Senegal national team. And for those of you that probably watch, Italian soccer, Napoli, Koulibaly, who is our
Hmm.
center back for Senegal, which is like the legend, they're compared
Yeah,
him to follow because he's almost like the next up kid. So all of the Senegalese team that's doing so well now and are coming a little bit to age, now there's a new cycle of those under 23 guys, and he's like marked up to be one of his replacements. So it's not like, so it's a kid that actually has the potential of even being an international player with the next Olympic or even World Cup. Who knows if he can pull something out. So I think the only thing for Rand when he was in France, I think that was that one question where people like, why did he move, from France and then straight to like Norway or something? I think the only part is that Rand had so much on the first team. They're like they're breed soccer players left and right. And he was with the two teams and did not see that there was an opportunity for him to play more times because Senegal is so stacked that you have to be in the first team to even get a look at. And it doesn't matter where in the world you are, you just have to be a starter. And I think that's where that progression went from France to Norway, and now he's coming to the States, which I think that's probably the drawback for any international players these days is the fact that the World Cup is coming here. Any teams that they play for will have the world watching them. So I think at this point, hey, try to pull a Saudi and try to get players here. Why not? Everybody wants a green card. Because once you get a green card, you can come to the state as much as you want with no issues.
Now you have to pay a $250 to visit the country. So
Yeah, or if you're rich enough, you get 5 million. You get your golden card, and bam, you're good.
there you go. You're there.
But yeah,
Um,
oh,
no,
Jerry is
I
here.
like Falu. I like Falu. I think it could be a very good sign. I hope we don't ruin him.
Yeah, better not.
I hope we actually get to manage him correctly and develop him as he needs to be. His highlights, the little that I've seen, seems like you were saying, a very young Koulibaly type of center back.
Yeah,
That obviously is young. He's gonna make mistakes. Um, he's gonna be out of positions here and there, but he's learning. If he has someone that he can still learn from and grow, I think it'll be great. So I'm excited for those two. I think they were not bad signs, especially in the situations we are with the team in the bottom of the table, not playing any significant, exciting soccer. So I think it's something good to look forward. But again, and for Jerry comment, no, I don't think it's enough. Even if everybody comes in healthy, I don't think it's enough. We have players that they have not shown enough. I think there's players that don't match whatever system we're creating or we have right now. I don't know what's gonna be in 6 months when we get a new coach or we get a new coach, but he also missing the six first of all. A six that is the six that we I've said it millions of times. He needs to be a little engine person that a big engine, not a little, a big engine with this destroying the place and being able to just pass the ball correctly. And I think another talented player because if Lewin stays, great. We're gonna be happy about it. But if it's another season like this season, we need another one, and we might need two more, or well, one more after that. So like two total of that type of players.
Yeah, happy
So
birthday,
it's not
Jerry.
enough.
So to
Any
that
final
point,
words?
here's the thing, and I think this is what I would tell everyone, well, at least from me, if I'm giving that kind of a speech of what's I agree with you, it's not enough, but you're not going to turn it around in one window. I think the bigger thing that City's going to have to do is I think we have to pivot away from saying summer is our transfer window only. With the end of the season, there are 19 players total between the senior and supplemental roster who are out of contract. Now, a lot of those do have options. However, to me, the time that I expect to see the overhaul of this roster is going to be in the offseason, and it's time. It is overdue to churn out some of these guys from the original roster. I think you have a core of guys. Obviously, Hartle's going to be one of them. Leuven's going to be one of them. If you bring back Berkey, he should be one of them. But do you pay Berkey? That's a question for later. Do you bring back Klaus as a TAM? I think you bring him back on a TAM deal. So there's four guys that you could bring back, and then from there you've got to use that winter window. I know it's off cycle, it's out of character for this club historically with what they've done, but to me, that's the time you're going to see the roster overhaul.
And that's what all the
Okay.
teams do too. So like it's not like it's impossible to get players because we saw Columbus doing business, we saw Nashville doing business, we saw Kansas doing business, LA doing business. So let's not if it comes to that point and time and Lutz comes out and say, well, it's really hard to get players in the winter, then I'm sorry, but your credibility drops again because every single team in the league is doing business except you.
Yeah, and let's not forget next summer it's World Cup summer. So you'll have a small handful of players that one will be available to talk to because they will be with their national team. And usually those that are not playing probably are not the one that you want anyway. So that's where things. So one final question. So we'll keep it for Aaron. Good question. So what do you guys define as overhaul? Because I probably think see it a different way.
For me, I want talent and I want different type of players.
Number one, he was saying I think probably overhauls of like what is that? Like 5 players out, 10 players out, um, everybody out.
Um, I think what we did the last time when we were playing around, like who gets the extinction or who gets the option. I think we went with I think 5 players we were getting rid of,
Mm-hmm.
if I'm correct, Jeremy.
Yeah, something like that.
I think we did like about 5. Um, 3 were like no brainers. I think one was Nils, and the other one Nielsen. In can't remember the other one, but like those are like injury prone, haven't played much, um, not contributing to the team, and then the other ones are kind of like just the background players, the depth players that they don't seem to have enough quality or fit the style of the team or anything, like just in general. So I think between 5 or 6 that there will be like an overhaul. Because I mean you have your core players that you're not gonna move. But what it worries me is that we're gonna still be focusing on the same market.
Jeremy, final words.
I'm just really quickly trying to run down the list of guys on the roster who are back. I think your biggest question marks are going to be trying to fill that 6. I mean, just looking at this, Hartle, Klaus, Leuven, Teukert, Fall, I'm bringing back Kessler, Betcher, Baumgartel, Tots, Pompeu, Sangbin, Hebert, Reed. Those are all guys I expect to be back. Ostrak is still under contract. Nilsson, unfortunately, unless we buy him out, we'll be work and find a buyer for him. So what does that leave? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. So that leaves 6 or 7 spots on the senior roster. JGR probably comes back because he's under contract. So looking at it, you've got on the senior roster, Morales, Vollum will probably be gone. Silva, that's 3. Durkin's a 4th question mark. So 4 or 5 guys on the senior roster could be gone without any outgoings. Alm will be gone. That's 6. So,
And
I
you
mean, I
gotta get
think
rid of Nelson.
yeah. So, I mean, I think that's the thing is 4 or 5 quality signings is what we're going to need. That's what I mean by an overhaul. And I mean quality in positions of need. Whether that means you go out and buy a new DP striker, or it means to me you go out and find an actual 6. That to me is the overhaul you need in the winter. You find those 5 or 6 spots that can make you better and build and elevate this roster. And I know we've got Minnesota coming up. I don't know if you guys at all want to talk Minnesota at all, or if we want to wrap up with that.
We'll probably catch up and talk about Minnesota on before the game.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
The last thing like I wanted to say with the transfer window is that we after like Lutz preach and preach and preach that summer was the window that he works hard and everything. If you know, like Jeremy was saying, you need a DP quality, either forward or a 6. Why we're not looking for it right now? That they're more players available, according to Lutz. Why we're not bringing something in now? I know the answer because nobody wants to come here to a play team that is in the bottom of the table, but that just defeats the purpose of his, or defeats the credibility of his message, in my opinion. Because you're not making the moves right now. You make two moves that they're decent, that if they pay out, they're gonna be good moves. But I don't think they're the main ones that you want. And like you say, Jeremy, in the winter, and how they're saying in the chat, if you're gonna bring those players in the winter, then you have to get your checkbook out and pay. Because winter, they're not gonna be free.
And I think window this year will be probably it's gonna be cheaper than next summer.
So, well, yeah, because everyone's going to be trying to I think my thought would be if you're moving in the winter, depending on who you are, if you're trying to make a World Cup team and you're making that late push, you're going to be open to a move to try to get somewhere that's going to play you so that you can get some not only game minutes and fitness, but get the attention of your national team's federation to get any kind of shot at a World Cup roster because it is a World Cup year.
To St. Louis.
Well,
No,
but hold
you'll
on.
you'll come to MLS.
You'll come. Well, hold on. I disagree. I understand. Ultimately, the goal. Yes, they want to win, right? Everybody wants to win. But if my goal in the short-term window is I want to be in the best spot, that's going to give me the best exposure, and I understand winning is a part of it, but I can be a standout player in a crappy team and get my nation's federation's attention. I mean, look, I'm going to call out Scott McTominay, okay? I'm a United guy. United has been garbage. McTominay got attention. He was playing for Scotland in the last Euros and scoring goals. So, I think he was, yeah. So, bottom line is that to me is
because he's the beast.
Yeah, well, that's why he's at Napoli with Kevin De Bruyne now. But my point being is that to me is the motivation. Sure, it's not a long term. Yes, they want to win. I don't question that. You're 100% right. If winning is the first thing on my list, I'm not coming to St. Louis right now. However, if my goal is to say I want an opportunity to play, I'm being promised meaningful minutes, and I can be showcased and that's why part of why Indy left, by the way, if you remember, Vasilev left because he wanted to be showcased leading into the Gold Cup or into that next window for Team USA, and he didn't think it would work here, being played out of position by Olaf. So to me, if you can showcase your talent and be put in that position, you'll come. And they'll pay you for it.
Well, it didn't work out for him either because he's in a winning team, but still did not get a call.
No.
But like I was saying, trust me, even St. Louis is still a destination for any of those guys that wants to have eyes, because this is the place to be. And I think that's why a lot of those foreign guys are coming younger and younger and younger. But with that said, I appreciate you all for joining another episode of Top Corner Talk. And I think you guys feeling better now? A little bit, took some of that off your chest?
Hey, look, at the very least, I know Oscar got to see the best kit in my collection.
And with that